Hey everyone, this is Matt from endsickness.org. Today I'm going to be talking about the signs of food sensitivities in children. I'll first go over my experiences. I'll talk about the experiences I've had with my daughter. Talk about how you must identify these foods or else you're going to see a lot of unexplainable symptoms in your children. Talk about how the sensitivities, these food sensitivities, can mimic various conditions. Then I'll go over the various symptoms you can see and the things that pop up due to food sensitivities. And I'll talk about what the timing is to expect in terms of these reactions. Do they happen moments later? Do they happen hours later? And then I'll summarize key points for you. So my experiences, I had food sensitivities to the point where I could only eat 6 different foods at one point. I was so sick. I had lost 80 pounds, had rashes all over my body, had candida, bacterial infections, parasites, etc. So I have plenty of experience with food sensitivities. I know they can cause you, anxiety. It can cause you to feel like you can't sit still, to be aggressive, to be sad, to be tired, to be hyperactive, all that. So I know that those things were true before I ever got custody of my daughter, had her. So when I got her, she was really, really sick, and I started to apply the knowledge that I had from my personal experiences to her and realized that, wow, she was reacting to these foods in various ways that were very similar to the way I reacted in them. And I had to identify these foods or she was going to be sick for probably the rest of her life. So next point I want to talk about is you must identify these foods or else. You have to do this for your child. If you're watching this video, chances are good your kid may have some chronic illness or something going on. The easiest way to do this is through an elimination diet, and I go over that in other videos. Elimination diet, low histamine diet, combination of the both. This would give you a chance to observe what foods are actually causing the kid the issues and see what the symptoms are that they're being caused. But if you don't do that, you could end up going to see people that diagnose them with various conditions that may be partially due to the food sensitivities or all due to the food sensitivities. And the problem is when you have food sensitivities over and over and over, you have reactions. Eventually the immune system gets so overreactive that all kind of other issues develop for the child. So these sensitivities, they mimic various conditions. You can't think that it's always just some condition. It could be something that you're doing that you don't realize you're doing. And I found that was the case with myself. There was various conditions that they tried to stick on my daughter, and the reality is, whenever they actually tested, she never would come back fully, wouldn't line up completely with the diagnosis, and it was because it was all due to immune sensitivities. And once I controlled the immune sensitivities, I controlled her symptoms. But I'm going to go over some of the things you're going to see in your child whenever they have food sensitivities. So number one, hyperactivity. This could be something that's 15, 30 minutes later. Usually it could last for hours. Fatigue, that's usually something where they want to sleep. Usually it'll come an hour or two later after eating. Flushing, that could come immediately on the face, redness of the face. That to me was the most indicative sign that my daughter was having a response to something, and it helped me to identify what I was doing wrong. Behavioral changes. They could be overexcited. They could be aggressive. They could be sad. They could start crying. Various behavioral changes that seem to come out of nowhere, and you just ate in the last hour or so. You got to start thinking about that. Cravings. If a kid just wants to eat the same food over and over again in different forms, like for example, all they want to do is eat wheat all the time in different forms. Every meal that you're having, of the day, you're having wheat in some way, or every single day you're having wheat. If you try to give your kid other foods and they won't eat them, and they will only eat these foods, this is usually a sign that there's something going wrong with those foods. When a kid eats a food over and over and over again, if they have any type of gut instability, it is a probability that they could have a response to it because they're exposing their gut to this over and over and over and over again. Cough, sinus issues like stuffiness, etc. I've seen coughs come immediately while eating food. It could be, usually the cough comes pretty quick within 15 minutes or so eating. Stuffy nose may come within an hour, a couple hours, may even be late the next day, the stuffy nose thing. Can't sit still, right? Can't sit still. That's one that's real big. Touching the face, touching the face, always wanting to have something to do. Can't be quiet and sit still. right? That's the number one indicator of these food sensitivities. The timing of the reactions, let's get into that. Timing of reactions can vary, okay? As I discussed a little bit of the timing for each of these particular reactions, but timing reactions can be instantaneous, you know? I'll give you an example. When I would take my daughter out to get a smoothie, there'd be something in the smoothie that would make her cough. She had really a lot of lung issues. And as soon as she would drink it, within 3 to 5 minutes of drinking it, she'd start coughing and I'd take it away from her, right? But the idea is that the product has already caused some type of mucus release in the lungs. It's already caused some type of low-grade sensitivity. It's aggravated something, right? So you got to pay attention to any of these little changes, because that means something just aggravated the kid's system, all right? So it could be instantaneous like that, or it could be a couple hours later, you know, that you realize that. But usually it's within the first hour, definitely, you know. So let me summarize some key points. I've gone through this myself. I've seen it in my daughter. Identifying these food sensitivities and removing them is absolutely critical to your kid's health and the trajectory of their life, all right? You must identify these foods or else, all right? You could see lots of problems in the present and the future because of this for your child. And the best way to do it is to create a diary of what they're eating, follow a basic low histamine diet, stay away from tons of high ingredient packaged products, okay? If you're giving them packaged products and they have more than 5 ingredients in them, or they have ingredients in them that you can't recognize, this is a problem. These are most likely irritants. Keep the animal products down, etc. You know, just the less processed food, the better. The more plant fiber, the better. The simplest way I could put it, right? So you must identify these foods, or you could have lots of problems in the future. Sensitivities are going to mimic various conditions, so you want to get rid of these sensitivities, or you might get diagnosed with something that doesn't actually stick, doesn't actually make sense. These are all the symptoms we went over: hyperactivity, fatigue, flush, behavioral changes. All these things can happen. It's just really dependent upon the child. And the timing of reactions can vary. It could be instantaneous. It could be, you know, an hour or two later, but usually it's within the first, 40 minutes to an hour or so. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This is not meant to be medical advice whatsoever. Please, reach out to your licensed medical professional if you feel you want to discuss these things or in further detail with them. But reach out to me via my website if you have questions. It's endsickness.org. Put any comments you have in the YouTube, or just put whatever info you want in the YouTube comments. I'm happy to respond to it. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope to see you guys soon.